निगाह बुलंद सुखन दिल नवाज दिल पुरसोज, यही है रख्त सफ़र मेरे कारवां के।
तो एथिक्स का पेपर तो चल रहा है तब से, लेकिन तब भी आपके करप्ट ऑफिसर्स निकल रहे हैं। तो एथिक्स में आप ब्लफ कर सकते हो, ऑनेस्टी पे आप ब्लफ कर सकते हो, मार्क्स जब आप आंसर लिखते हो उसमें आप ब्लफ कर सकते हो, इंटरव्यू में मुश्किल हो जाता है।
हाउ टू अपियर और प्रिपेयर योरसेल्फ फॉर द पर्सनैलिटी टेस्ट।
बी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। बहुत सारे, अब लाइक मैं 6 साल से इंटरव्यू कर रहा हूँ, बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे होते हैं जिनके साथ आपको बात करने का मन नहीं करता, बिकॉज वो इतना बोरिंग इंसान है, वो हर चीज़ को बोरिंग बना लेता है।
बट अलॉन्ग विद द पर्सनैलिटी टेस्ट they also test what is your level of awareness.
ज़्यादा नॉलेज दिखाने की कोशिश नहीं करनी, वो भी एक नेगेटिव एस्पेक्ट है पर्सनैलिटी का।
Every word of that DAF should be very clear to you first, because when the board starts the conversation, it starts with your DAF.
Do you have a sister? Would you marry her to a person who already has 3 wives? Why not? So is it exploitative? है या नहीं? बिल्कुल है।
So what is the reason that you are choosing the service? Why?
So well, it's my father's dream.
Your father's dream, not your own dream. Okay, why are you choosing? Unless and until there is a reason for you to do something, you will not be able to create that passion. So you should be passionate about a thing. Then only you can aim for it and go for it in the best possible way. Otherwise, just following sort of herd mentality, everybody is going for civil services. IAS में वो है, KAS में ये है. It should not only be that. So first of all, you should strive to put a question to yourself that why I am opting for this service, and try to find out an answer, and then you can go forward. So Tehleel sir has just decided that this would be a session on personality development. I think we will first go slightly back. IAS or KS, these civil services examinations, you know that this is a very tough exercise. It requires not only commitment and hard work, but also perseverance. You will have to put at least 2-3 years of hard work, then only you can think of reaching the level of personality test. First of all, you should start while you are in college. Once you start your graduation degree, from that time you should start preparing about this examination. For that, you will have to make continuous studies, not only of general, because you have to thoroughly go through the syllabus, which is basically main focus of the papers is on general studies, economy, current affairs, politics, and then you have to choose one subject of your choice. In earlier times, when we were appearing for this examination, there were 2 subjects, optional subjects, but now we have only one optional subject, and you should start preparing for that subject also right from your graduation days, because when you start early, you will be more focused, and continuously you will study that subject for your graduation studies. Otherwise, usually what we see is that most of the engineering graduates, after completing this engineering degree, they then start up thinking what we should do, and what they do then, they go for IGNOU studies, public administration, or political science, or sociology, or anthropology, because people tell them that these are the scoring subjects, you should go for these subjects. Then they spend a year or 2 after graduation in preparing for that optional paper, and then appear for this. Recently, we have seen a trend that many professionals like doctors, dental surgeons, they come towards this. There's nothing bad for any profession, because its graduation is the degree which qualifies you to appear in the civil services examination. But my request to all of you would be that you should start preparing early, make a choice of the subject very early, and then you can successfully pass this examination. See, all of you have talent and all of you can become civil servants. All of you can become good officers. But there is a limiting factor. The limiting factor is the number of posts that are being advertised by Union Public Service Commission or Jammu and Kashmir Public Service Commission. For example, for KAS, in this examination, we have only 60 odd, 70 odd positions. So once advertisement is issued, there would be at least 20,000 applicants who would appear. Then of them, maybe 18,000 appear for the preliminary examination. So at the most 50 into 60, 25 into 60, 1,500 of them would qualify to appear in the mains examination. And then 60 into 3, only 180 would be called for the personality test, and out of that there is a probability of 1:3, one among the three will get selected. So it has to be then the first among the equals, because let's take the example of present interview that is being held currently by the Public Service Commission. They have called 780 people for the personality test. Because the number of vacancies in the previous batch was more, it was 260. So the best 780, they have reached the level of personality test. Here, all of them are equally good. But ultimately a merit has to be drawn, so it will be only the first among the equals who will qualify for these positions for being appointed to the services. But the others also who have passed through this drill, IAS and KS only should not be your ultimate goal, because the effort you put in for preparing for this examination, it makes you good human beings, and you can strive and work and achieve heights in any other field, because you get basic training in all the things. You get more knowledge, you know the current affairs, you know how the world economy goes, you know what are different political problems in different parts of the world. You get to know basics of everything that is required in any profession. So that makes this effort of striving to become a civil servant and appearing for UPSC or JKAS examinations conducted by Jammu and Kashmir Public Service Commission, it makes all the more gainful and useful for all of you. So my advice to all of you would be that those of you who are still in college, or those of you who have just completed and are in university or other things, make selection of your optional subject and start preparing right now for the next year's examination, and put in at least 9-10 years study, hard study. Then only you can think of reaching a level where you can qualify these examinations. Is that clear? Now we come to today's topic, that is how to appear or prepare yourself for the personality test. Personality test is the last stage, stage 3 of the examinations for the civil services. So after having passed the rigorous drill of clearing the preliminary examination and the mains examination, you are shortlisted to appear for a personality test. As is generally being spoken about, that in this personality test, we test the personality of the candidate being suitable for being appointed to the services, maybe administrative service or police service or any other service for which this combined examination is being held. But along with the personality test, they also test what is your level of awareness and how much knowledge you actually possess. Collectively, then we see what is the suitability of a candidate, and on the basis of that, out of 250, you are giving certain marks, for which then you compile the final merit list on the basis of mains, what you have scored in the written examination, plus what you score in the viva or the personality test. Then ultimately the merit list is drawn. For preparing this personality test, I will just start with an Urdu couplet which you must have read. That is Nigah buland, सुखन दिल नवाज दिल पुरसोज, यही है रख्त सफ़र मेरे कारवां के लिए. Once you appear for the interview, you qualify for the personality test, you have reached a stage where now we have to choose the leaders. Mere Karwan. So, out of these three things, first is what I said, Nigah Buland, far sightedness, visionary. You should have in your sight the things what you will be doing in next 20 years. Say, after 20 years, when one of you will be Deputy Commissioner of Srinagar, what you will do for getting some things which you find lacking in this district. Or it is not only the administration, your vision should be what you will do in life after 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. This visionary approach and developing this vision in yourself is one of the prerequisites of becoming a very successful person, and that will help you in getting a good job if you are really interested in doing a government job only. Is that clear? So then next, and the most important thing in which we are lacking, especially from this part, is that what I refer to as Sukhan Dil Nawaz. Your way of speaking, your way of communication should be very attractive. So wherever you have studied, but try to concentrate on communication skills. You should be able to express yourself in the best possible way. You may be knowing 100 things, but if you are not able to put across your point of view, if you are not able to communicate properly, perhaps you will not score that high in the personality test. So the most important thing that you should concentrate upon right from the time you have decided that you are going to appear for civil services, and not wait for the results of the mains and then start preparing for it, is to develop the communication skills. And better is, you may be comfortable in any language. Maybe you are comfortable in Hindi or Urdu more than English, then you can concentrate communicating in that language only. But as a general rule, we see that people speak English. So enhancing your English speaking capabilities should also be one of the goals before aiming to become a civil servant. It's not only how good English you speak, but the content of what you are speaking, the tone and tenor of your speech, that tell upon and ultimately lead how good you will be assessed as a good communicator. The choice of words in communication is very important. You have to work how to communicate your thought precisely, precision, and for that choice of words, it is very essential so that you can make an impact on the panel that is assessing you for your personality. After the communication skills, then we say what we call as that it's Jan Pursos. Your personality should be exuberating, it should be full of life. Enthusiasm should just emanate, or your face should show that you are a very enthusiastic person. You are passionate about this thing. So once you develop these qualities within you, then you can appear for any personality test, you can impress any panel that examines you for a personality test. So I will repeat, these things that are very important is the communication skills, your confidence, your enthusiasm, and your visionary outlook of things that will help you in doing great things in any personality test. As far as now these civil services are concerned, once you go for a personality test, you are supposed to submit what we call as DAF. Have you heard of DAF? What is DAF? That is detailed application form. In that form, you are supposed to write about yourself. What's your name, your parents' name, where you are born, the place of birth, the district you live, the place from where your mother comes, the place from your father, everything. What are your hobbies? What you have qualified? What if you have any work experience? What is that? So everything is provided for in that DAF, and that is the first document that comes before the panel when they start interviewing you. So it is very important that you fill up that form very accurately and minutely and with the application of mind. Every word of that DAF should be very clear to you first, because when the board starts the conversation, it starts with your DAF. You should prepare the possible questions that can come out of the DAF that you have prepared. For example, it will start with your name. In some of the interviews, you may not have submitted the DAF, but you will be asked to introduce yourself. So, in your introduction, whatever you say, that would start with your name, your parentage, from where you have studied, where you have lived, where you have worked. These things will come before the board. They may start first. You should know, for example, what is your name and what is the meaning of your name, where from it has come, what is the language from which it has been derived. Then there can be related questions: the name of your father, the place of your birth. For example, if you are born in a particular village or a mohalla, what is the name of that mohalla? How has that name come? There is something, but in a revenue parlance, we say wajh tasmiya. What is the background of the name? So you should just try to find out answers for that, where from this name of that particular village has come. Then we can move forward where you have studied. What is the, if there is a particular name of that college or that school, maybe after some famous personality, you should know everything about that personality. A question may lead you to that personality, and then you should not get stuck. Similarly, then you have passed some examination and now you are opting for civil services. A question that would be asked, that suppose if you are a qualified engineer, what makes you to choose civil services? You should prepare an answer. It should be ready in your mind that this question will be asked. What will be my major response for that question? Similarly, you have worked somewhere in some organization. What is the aim of that organization? What sort of work they are doing? And how can that work experience help you in public administration? These sort of questions would be asked. Suppose you have been born in one district, your mother is from another district, then the importance or the important features of both the districts, you should be aware. What is the economy, general economy, why that district has got that name, or there is something, one district, one product, every place has some unique USP. What is the USP of your place of birth or the place where you have lived? These sort of questions, they will emanate from your DAF, your biodata. Those questions you should always be prepared that you will have to reply these questions. Next thing that the panel is always curious to know is about what are your core subjects that you have studied and how much knowledge you have retained of those subjects you studied in college. For example, you have studied economics, political science, and geography. Maybe in KAS now you have opted anthropology as your optional subject. But don't miss to study the basic concepts or revise the basic concepts of the subjects that you have studied at your graduation level, because questions would emanate from that also. Because that would give an idea to the panel that how conscious he is about his past, but whether he carries forward his learning of the past to future, which will help in future assessment. Similarly, the questions on, usually what we have seen in the interview, somebody has qualified engineering degree, and now he, for the optional in the KAS, he has selected public administration. The panel, some of the panel members, they might have background of engineering, so they would ask some questions on engineering. But usually we have seen that this core subject has been left out of mind by the candidates, and they have concentrated more on general studies and the optional subject. The core subject in which you have studied, that should always be at the back of your mind, and you should always prepare about the basic concepts of that core subject. And then of course the optional subject, whatever optional you have selected, naturally you must have, for your mains you must have studied in detail, but once you have to appear for the personality test, you should again revise the basic concepts and latest developments of that subject. That would help you in giving good responses in the interview. Another aspect that you should take care of is the current affairs. All of you who want to pursue this course, they should from the day one choose some newspapers and news magazines that without break you should study and you should go through. One national daily, one local daily, and one or two news magazines, they are sufficient to, you just make a habit, you should not miss it, especially for the time when the interview time or the personality test time comes. The week 15 days before, you should be ready with what are the latest current affairs developments in your locality, in your union territory or the state, whatever you call it, in our country, and by and large the whole important developments in the whole world. Because questions would come and the panel would test whether you are aware about the current affairs, what is going on in the world right now, whether you have a look at that or not. So having a look at the newspapers, you should make it a habit that every day in the morning your day should start with going through newspapers of your choice. At least select one national and one local newspaper and glance through it as a matter of habit. And once you have to appear for the personality test, for 15-20 days you should regularly concentrate on main things what is happening. I'll just give an example. Suppose today the personality test is going on in the Public Service Commission. The questions on Chandrayaan, ISRO, who is chief of ISRO, these type of questions would be asked. Suppose a candidate had interview 15 days before today, when Chandrayaan was not launched, this question would not come to the mind of the panel. So, because ultimately the persons who are interviewing you on the panel, they also are human beings. So there is a normal human behavior. They also keep themselves afresh with the latest developments. So from the whatever is going on in the world or in the country or in our state, they will be asking questions on that to study your level of knowledge and how you look at the things that go around you. After current affairs, then you have to take another thing in mind, that you should know about your area and about your union territory. About Jammu and Kashmir, you should be aware about what are the rivers, what is their origin, where from they come. We have generally seen that the people from Kashmir have very poor knowledge about the geography and the developments in Jammu region and vice versa. Even some people from Kashmir don't know the names of the districts of Jammu division. And same is the case, some people don't recall the districts of Kashmir. Those who live in Jammu, they don't. So you have to study and you have to keep an eye on the economy, the geography, and whatever is important for our union territory, you should be knowing everything about that, and you should prepare yourself for that. Another most important thing that the interview panel assesses is that how you present and behave. The level of confidence that exudes from you, your body language, that is being assessed by the panel, and it definitely has a role to play how much you score in the interview. So once you appear for the personality test, you should be very confident. The confident best in you should come out. You should not be nervous at all, and there is nothing to be nervous about. Those of you who reach the level of personality test are the ones that are the best available in the market, and they have reached that level. So there is no reason that they should be nervous about anything. They should just believe in themselves that they have something in them, they have the potential that they can reach the top. So there is no reason to be nervous about. It sometimes happens that a panel member asks a question which is just out of way, and some of the candidates, they get nervous. You should feel very relaxed. Nobody in this universe knows everything. कोई कितना भी काबिल हो, but there would be some areas where he would be lacking in knowledge. So if one or two questions are come there at the start of the interview or just in between, where your responses are not clear or you don't know, plainly you say that I can't recall right now, because there is nothing to be afraid about, and naturally the panel will move to the next question. Some of the candidates, if they miss responses to one or two questions, then they feel nervous. Then what happens? Even the subjects or the things they know, they are not able to express in a good way. All of you, when you will reach that level of the interview, then you have to make some advanced thinking. The members of the Public Service Commission and the chairman, you must be knowing by that time when you have to appear for the interview. So what is the background of that members? That also you should keep in mind, because the members, they come from diverse fields. Some would be from IAS, some would be from IFS, some would be from IPS, some would be retired or judges, or some would be professors or technocrats, engineers. So once you get an idea of the diversity of knowledge in the panel, you should additionally prepare for those subjects also. Suppose you have one or two members in the panel who are from legal background, so questions on the constitution or latest developments, latest amendments, or the latest acts that have been enacted in the assembly or in the parliament, or on that there would be questions that would be asked or a discussion would happen on that. So you should prepare yourself about that also. And finally, the most important thing is, whatever response you give, whatever answers you give, you should have proper thought process in that, and your answers should be very measured and precise. We have sometimes the tendency of going into details. Your answer should be whatever is asked. Suppose if you are asked which is the capital of a particular country, just reply what is the name of the capital. We have seen that there are some candidates who then go, so that this country lies in northeast, in southwest. So precision is very important. Whatever is asked, you reply to that. Sometimes you have a tendency that you will give additional information in order to impress the panel. But during that course, what happens? Once you start talking more and more, you refer to some questions that you might not be knowing clearly, but the panel would ask you questions out of that. So it is better to give your correct, composed and measured responses very precisely. Whatever is asked, you reply to that. Sometimes it so happens that the panelist may give an impression that the reply that you have given, I am not impressed with that. And you might be sure in yourself that my answer is correct. Maintain a composure, because sometimes the behavior of the panelist would be like that. He wants to test how much confidence you really have and how you will respond to a difficult situation. So it is not necessary that when he says that no, you are wrong, you are wrong, you might be correct, but he just wants to what would be your response to something. So if tomorrow you have to handle a situation where this sort of thing, how you would behave, how you would compose yourself. Keeping a cold and calm composure is also one of the essential prerequisites in a personality interview. You should maintain calm, be a normal person you are, just try to get the best out of you and give your measured response to the panel. I think that would satisfy the panel to a great extent. Is that clear? If you have any questions, you can ask them. We can
Sir, my anthropology scoring subject ends given more reflections. And
No.
why not sociology? For sociology, the thing that we have to read more.
How do you make this statement that one is scoring and another is not?
So at the panelists, more things.
There is a general belief that the syllabus of anthropology is less as compared to other subjects, and the basic knowledge that everybody has, that is covered under the anthropology, and one is able to score higher. But it is not necessary that you always score high in anthropology. There is a system of moderation also, that if the question paper sometimes is tough for some subject, the commission, the UPSC, they take care of these things. It is not that it is a particular subject that will be high scoring. I will give you my example. I had done the same thing, that I have basically studied botany. In 87, I had completed my PhD in botany. But when I appeared in KAS, I have chose subjects anthropology and public administration. Again, with this belief that I would score very high. I scored very good in public administration, but my score in anthropology was very low. So it is not that you will always score high in a particular subject. But yes, there is a general tendency among the people that these subjects, the syllabus of these subjects, you will be able to express more correctly in your answer scripts, and that gives a better score. And now there you have just 2 papers of optional subjects. They will not collectively affect your overall ranking in the score. But yes, sometimes in some year in a particular examination, maybe a particular subject, the candidates of a particular subject score more, but by and large, all subjects are given fair treatment. Yes, and once, yes, Abati, this I just did not talk about hobby. One of the columns in that DAF is your extracurricular activities, and there your hobbies. Once you write about hobby, you should there again be very conscious what I am writing. Sometimes some people write 4 or 5 hobbies. You don't get any additional marks for having more hobbies, but you invite more trouble, because some experts or some members then ask you questions of that hobby. Suppose you write, you play cricket, you play tennis or something, then you must know everything what is happening in those games right now. Or you go for gardening, or sometimes you say that my reading fiction books is my hobby. Then the panel would ask you, which is the book that you studied recently, and what is the gist of that book? What was the first book? Can you name some book? So this is inviting more trouble. Either you should be really in that hobby and doing something so that you are able to reply properly, not just to impress the panel that you have so many hobbies, you do so many things, and you are doing multitasking. That sometimes backfires, and you might be asked some questions about that hobby, which you might not be knowing. So if you read, it is very good to have hobbies, but the hobbies you have, you should have all the background knowledge about them. What is the latest things that is happening around the world in them? Questions on that would be asked from the panel. Another important thing that I would like to tell you is that for these interviews, in addition to the panel members of the Public Service Commission, you have two experts always there. They they are from behavioral sciences, they are from public administration. So the questions on this human psychology, public administration, general concepts of administration, latest developments in management, that also should be in your mind, because questions on that would be asked by those experts, and overall assessment would then be on the basis of how you have responded to all the members of the panel, and then you will get a score accordingly.
So, what is the actual situation of interview, right, sir? If you see the prelims point of view, syllabus is mentioned, and then maybe syllabus is mentioned. And what about the interview? Is this current based or we have to be ready for it? If it is anything.
When you talk of that, what interviewer is supposed to ask, he is not bound by anything. He can ask you anything, and you should be prepared for that he will ask you anything. But by and large, what happens, the interview goes around these 3, 4, 5 things. One, the area where you have expertise. That means whatever you have studies at a core subject. If you are engineer, if you are a dental surgeon, if you are a doctor, or if you are from humanities or from science background, you are a postgraduate in botany, for example, then you should expect that questions on that subject would be asked. For example, you have studied botany and none of the panel members has studied botany. He can ask you general, what are the applications of botany in day-to-day life? Because he is not bound by anything, or he may not ask you on a question on your subject. But general things that are common to all candidates is the general studies, the economy, the geography, the current affairs. For example, in today's context, we see our Prime Minister is visiting some of the countries. That he was recently in France and UAE. Before that, he was in USA and Egypt. Questions on this would be asked. The groupings like SCO, G20, of those groupings were the latest meetings and other things that have taken up in recent, because the interviewers are also guided by these things, what is happening around the world. The way you people go prepared for the interview, the panelists also come prepared, because they also have to ask some questions. And you will always not be ready that what I have to ask. So nowadays it is common that you just go for Google search of any subject, what are the important questions, that is always at the back of the panelists as well as the candidates who are appearing for the interview. So most of the discussions would emulate and include those things: the current affairs, the general sciences, the core subject that you have studied, the optional subject you have studied, the public administration and its relevance, and your SWOT analysis. You understand what is SWOT analysis? Your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and challenges. So you have to be ready with all these things. What strengths you have, how are you suitable for being appointed as a civil servant, what weaknesses you have. Saying that I don't have any weakness is not a good answer. You should just find out that I am more emotional, but weakness should be like that. It should not be a weakness which would make you unfit for the civil service, for the service. But nobody is perfect. There are some weaknesses. So you should be prepared in your mind with these sort of replies. Then the opportunities you have, where you would like to see once you have got this job in next period. Then they may pose you some questions, but we generally see that these would be situational questions. They would put you a situation in front, how you would respond to that situation. Or they might ask for some opinion-based questions would be asked from you. For example, nowadays there is a general talk on uniform civil code. So they may bombard you with the question, what is your opinion on the Uniform Civil Code? So you have to give a graduated reply. What is Uniform Civil Code? Who are, if they are at all are opposing some people, why are they opposing it, and what should be the way forward? Or whatever is the latest development in the country. Something happening in Manipur. Questions might be asked on that. Or relations between the chief ministers of opposition states and the governor. For example, a minister was dismissed in Tamil Nadu by the governor. So you should know who is the chief minister there, who was the governor who has taken this action, under which rules, because ultimately he must have taken the action on the basis of some rule, or what was the law that he acted, and why was it kept in abeyance, or similar sort of things. In Kerala, there is a rift between the governor and the chief minister because the bills that have been passed by the assembly, the assent has not been given. So everything, all round, you should have knowledge about everything. In response to your question, I would finally say, when we were preparing these questions, there was a senior officer who once told us that you should be ready for any question. For example, if he goes to the interview before you, these two, the interviewer asked him what is the spelling of apple. He would give easy. He asked him what is the spelling of banana. When your turn, he asked you what is the spelling of Czechoslovakia. Then you would start thinking it is CHEOCZEZ. So a luck also plays very important role. Or suppose he went in and he asked him when was the Battle of Panipat held. He would reply the answer. The next question is how many people were killed in that battle. When it comes your turn and you have a bad day, you would say, can you give some names of the persons who were killed? Unless and until you know that who was the Sipa Salar or commander-in-chief of that battle. So anything can be asked, but you should not get unnerved by these things. The basic things that we talked about, you have to be clear about those things and you will be able to give major responses. And then if you don't know a reply to an answer, there is no shame in saying that I just don't recall it, or no, it is out of my mind, and we can move on.
So any answer one of the interview question like why do we select you? Here's the reason. Why do we select you? Here's the reason. One of the interview questions.
Yes, this is a common question. Why should we select you? So for that, you have to know the job for which you are appearing. For example, you are appearing for a civil services job. So what is required of a civil servant? He should be decisive, he should have leadership qualities, he should be very dedicated, he should be very hardworking. You can say that some of the qualities that are required for this position or this, and I do have all these qualities. That is the reason I think I am a suitable person for being selected for this position. That's what I in the first go told you, the SWOT analysis. You should know your strengths and weaknesses. And strengths and weaknesses should be more related to the job for which you are appearing for the interview. Is that clear? Anything else?
I had a bachelor's in medical surgery and on 22 August. Sir, we can ask
देखो एक बात मैं भूल गया यहाँ ऐसे बात बोलने का अंदाज, you neither you should speak too low tone nor in a very high tone, because if you start speaking in a very high tone, that may lead to thinking among the panel members that he is overconfident, and there is a wafer thin line between overconfidence and arrogance. Nobody would like an arrogant person to be selected. You have to be confident, but not cross the level, not overconfident. It should not look like you are bullying. Communicate your point of view in a measured way, in a measured tone, and likewise your tone is very low. That's also not very effective. You should just practice and speak in a slightly louder tone so that it's at least audible to the panel. For example, आपने वहाँ से बता दिया, मैंने सुना नहीं. Either I am hard of hearing or you have spoken a much lower tone.
I had done bachelor's in dental surgery
Yes, you are a dental surgeon.
Beyond 20 feet, 22 August 2023.
Hmm.
Sir, they can ask me a question why we switch from dentistry to civil services. Sir, can they provide them the reason that there has been no single post
Yes. Yes.
advertised by government since 2008? Is it the right answer?
Becky, it's not only you. We have found that many dental surgeons, after completing the dental surgery course, they now start appearing for the civil services. And this is the reason, main reason, that from 2009, for the last almost 15 years, no posts have been advertised. There is no harm in giving, and the panel knows why you are here is because you, in your own profession, you don't have a job available in the market. Though they will ask you that there's a lot of scope for dental surgery in America and they are the best paid, and why don't you go there? You should be prepared for a response to that also. But yes, saying that there are no positions of dental surgeons for the last so many years, that is just one of the reasons. That should not be the sole reasons. But I have a passion for civil services also, and I have developed some skills during my studies that have made me more empathetic and other things. Relate these terms to the requirements of civil service and your passion to join the civil services, that you can carry forward. And this is one of the reasons you should mention this reason also, because this is a primary reason, but this should not be the sole reason that you will communicate there. Is that clear? Anyone else?
I have a couple of questions actually. The first one is quite similar to this question. Most of the engineering graduates, they are always asked, why you switch it, because either you could have excelled in your own this.
You are an engineer, or
Yes,
कौन सी इंजीनियरिंग की है आपको? Mechanical engineering, yes. So your first, if you had to appear before me, the first question I would ask is, why did you study mechanical engineering?
that is the irony.
You have studied mechanical engineering and you want me to give you an answer why you have studied.
That is the issue, sir. Actually. I would answer it like it's been sort of a social pressure to not guidance or the counseling at the right time. That
Yes.
is one of the reasons for this.
You can say that generally engineers switch over their jobs for these different pressures, but in my case this is not the fact, because you have to present in a good way. You can say that yes, I have qualified engineering, there are good career opportunities in mechanical engineering, and you can get a good job in a company or in the government sector also. But my passion is for civil services, because I can contribute in better way here. That, and the skills, analytical skills that I have developed during the course of engineering study, I find that they will help me in a great way in delivering the public services and in public administration. You can relate that you are just not unfit because you are an engineer. As an engineer, it is a analytical study, analytical thinking that you develop while you study engineering. Those analytical skills you can utilize in public administration related matters. Otherwise, also the panel members know what is the reason you don't have jobs, and or you get out of your place. If you get a job in a company, or they know everything, but they just want to know how you will express it, how you will convince, what reasoning you will give for that answer.
And there is one more question, like how many months of current affair is necessary before actually appearing in the interview?
For the personal, what I told at the beginning is that you should start preparing for the interview. In fact, way back from the time you started preparing for this civil services. But once you have to appear for the personality test, the current affairs, the world affairs that are happening over a period of 1 month or so, it should be sufficient. That would give you more leverage regarding the questions that are likely to be asked. There are some things which have long lasting effects. For example, relevant to the case of Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act. This has happened 4 years ago, but it is very relevant even today. Questions on this: how JK got divided into two UTs, what is the difference between UT of J&K and UT of Ladakh, huh? Or there was delimitation that happened 2 years back. What is the effect of the delimitation? What, how have the boundaries of territorial jurisdictions of different parliamentary constituencies been changed? You should be ready with the reply to these, because these are more important things which are relevant to our state or our UT, and you can expect questions on that anytime over next few years.
And so last one is, what is the composition of the panel? And I have heard that there are some psychology experts and something from the technical.
Yes, if you have gone through the rules and regulations of KS, you have already qualified for an interview? No, sir, you are preparing. Rules and regulations, brother, usually in our commission, firstly the whole commission, whatever is the number of the members, they stay on the panel, and then you have to get two experts that you mentioned. There is a mentioned on the psychological or sociologist would be there, or man from public administration. So two experts in addition to the panel, PSC panel, they are always on the board there. That's why I say that you should expect some questions on the public administration, sociology, psychology, general human behavior. That will be tested. Wow.
Like I'm from minority religion, and there is atrocities of minority. So the question is like this: find your majority religion in your country. What should be my approach? And the second question is, sir, how can we answer it? There is a difference between central government and state government. How can you answer that?
See, as far as minority majority questions, usually controversial questions are not asked there. Now, even if a question is asked, you can always give a measured response. Don't take any stiff position that may likely hurt the sentiment of somebody. Don't give a response like that. You should give a measured response, as would reflect from your response that you as a good administrator can handle any situation. If there is somewhere a tussle between the two communities, how you will respond to that. If you present yourself that you are taking a partisan approach, your mental behavior is like that you will go to favor your particular community, that means you are not fit for being posted in an administrative position. So it should be a balanced approach, and nothing should reflect from your response that you have a soft corner for any particular community. Because as a civil servant, you are supposed to be a public servant. All are equal before you. Your next question was regarding,
Central government, state government,
huh, there are many things that are being discussed in public debate that you see in local newspapers, TV debates. There is no harm in making a point of view known that why is this tussle. You can say what is the point of view of the center and what is the point of view of the state, and then how can you can then generate an opinion that there has again to be a balance. You neither have to take side with the center, not with the state. You have as an independent thinking, and whatever a bright mind would think is the solution of this problem, you can take that view that way.
So sometimes questions are being asked after panel.
Like,
So we are asked about ourselves, like we can't express, we can't say to the panel.
I don't think panel would ask a question which you find that you can give an answer to that.
So maybe that will be appropriate for them, not for the interview.
I still am not getting that there would that sort of the panel that is there. They would ask a question that would offend the personal or private life of any individual or who is coming before them.
Brought in such a situation that what should you do if this and that happens, like sort of personal,
But-
it's a personal connection.
Again, they by asking those questions, they just want to see your mental strength. And you are because you have chosen a field of public administration or police service. So we have to see your mental strength. So you should be strong enough to defend any human behavior. You should be able to defend that behavior. And if, and I'm sure no panel would ask such type of question for which you cannot give a response. So the question would be limited to the line up to which you can give a response. Be assured about that. Yes.
Sir, there's this notion of that interview level, like it is the most toughest of all, and I believe that because sir, I've seen many seniors, many teachers, and like many seniors, they have cleared mains many times, 3 or 4 times for that matter, but they're not clearing the interview. And so this dichotomy, on the other hand, people are like, they are graduated and the next year they clear the interview. So what concerns me is that sir, does luck play a role, like, a significant role? Because I've seen many people like they are continuously clearing their mains exam like 3, 4 times, but they're like after accumulating so much knowledge and so much current affairs or anything for that matter, but they're not. What are they lacking in?
I would assure all of you that the panels are very considerate and they treat everybody equal. You might be very good in writing written answers and you reach a level where you are shortlisted for the interview. But repeatedly you score low in interviews. That means definitely there is something lacking in you. So one has to work on the communication skills and the way he communicates. That's why I told in the first instance that the communication skills, the hold on the language, and the way you express the measured responses you have to develop, that could be one of the reasons. But I assure you, if your responses have the substance, the panel takes a collective decision and then there is an assessment of that individual. So yes, there are some unfortunate incidents where after clearing mains 2-3 times one is not able to ultimately cross the barrier, but it has nothing to do with any personal grudge against that candidate. It luck does play a little role there, but ultimately he has something lacking on which he has to improve, and only he will be knowing after doing his SWOT analysis that what is lacking in me on which I should concentrate on this. Huh.
Just example for yourself, if you are an interviewer and you will be facing the same question, why you want to be a civil servant, so what will be your answer to make it satisfied? Because this also the law attention to make them attractive and more successful.
See, civil servants or being a civil servant gives a diversity to your career. You get an opportunity to work in lot many departments where you can affect lives of lot many people and you can contribute to the development of the society as a whole. So there you not only get an opportunity but some legal authority to help people, and you can contribute to the development of the society in a better way being a civil servant. Simultaneously, you should say that there are other professions, like we require teachers, we require doctors, we require any other field officers or the technocrats. Unless and until we have engineers, only bureaucrats would not be able to do anything, or unless and until we have good doctors. Because at the end of the day, every day we have to go to a doctor and take care of our health. So every profession is important. But why I have chosen this is that I have aptitude for this, for serving the people, and this would give me a platform where I can help in my diverse capacities lot many people.
So is it necessary to have the habitual action of toppers?
Is it necessary?
To have the habitual actions of toppers?
I am not hearing.
Habitual actions like daily routines, what they do, actions, habitual actions, what they do, like their routines.
देखिए, every individual is unique in himself or herself. No two individuals in this universe are alike. And if there are two twin brothers or twin sisters, they too are not alike. आपने महजूर का सुना होगा, वो जब कहा है उसने कि सासबिद गुलाब विचम अकी रंग फलन मगर ज इंसान वुचम नो रालान लाठ यारो. No two people are alike. Maybe he refers more to phenotypics, but even genotypically and overall behavior of no two persons is different. Toppers, for getting a motivation to that level, it's okay, but then you have to work out on your own personality. You are unique in yourself. ऊपर वाले ने कोई ज़्यादा डिफरेंस इंडिविजुअल्स में नहीं रखी है. वन हैज़ टैलेंट in one line, another has talent in another line. So if now you have to channelize that talent in a particular direction to succeed, you can follow these toppers and others to get motivation, but ultimately you have to bring out the best that is in you. That would ultimately lead to your success. Completely depending on listening to the toppers in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, that's not going to help you that much. Yes, it gives you motivation and you learn few things, how they have succeeded. You can channelize your personal innate characters. Then keeping that in background, then you can also achieve a success level.
How can we make it equivalent between the losers and toppers? Because sometimes we say like, why do we study about the history? We learn from the losers too, like how they have been defeated. So how can we equilibrate
Nee.
the talent between the losers and toppers?
Being an optimist and being a pessimist is also very important. Whether you see a glass half empty or half full, that is the way you look at things. For example, not qualifying a KS examination, you have cleared mains but you have not gone through it, doesn't mean that you are a loser. Merely by reaching that level, you are among the top 1% of the people who competed for that examination. But because there were limited number of seats, not all could be accommodated. So you should not take this guilt in yourself that you are a loser. Maybe it was not destined for you to become a civil servant. You can excel in academics, you can excel in any other field, you can be a very good entrepreneur, and you are not a loser. So this concept of loser and gainer has to be taken out of your mind, keeping in view that, you see, only 60 people out of 180 would get selected this year who will be called for the interview. Does it mean that the 120 who couldn't cross the line, they are losers? Whatever they have learned during this whole course, it has transformed their life, and it will flower into a maybe some other individual who has far more greater to give to the society. It's not only in the civil services that you give everything to the society. This, no doubt, you get an opportunity of doing good things in civil services and you get some personal satisfaction also. But there are all careers where you can contribute not only for your betterment but for the betterment of the society, and you get a satisfaction out of that. Don't keep this thing ever in mind that by not qualifying a particular exam, you are a loser.
So should we have second option for our like we
Definitely.
series TV serials like some people should have like second.
नहीं, you, yes beta, you should definitely have a B plan, what we call. Second plan should always, yes, I want to become an IAS officer or a KS officer, I will strive for it. That's why I first told you start early. If you start preparing for this examination after 12th, that is at the age of 18, for 3-4 years you will prepare. 22 you will appear in the first attempt, you go for 2-3 attempts. But by the time you have given 3 attempts and you have crossed, say, 25, prepare for another attempt, but simultaneously keep something more also in mind. Plan B should also be there. You can go for PG, qualify in NET or some other examination, maybe in academics or maybe some banking job, or there are so many opportunities because this is not the only job. And if you have prepared for civil services, I assure you that you can qualify or crack any examination for any other job. But keeping a second plan is always good. First 2 chances you wholeheartedly give to this, but after that you should simultaneously start for some
future, after the fourth attempt, I will think about the plan B. But maybe I could be selected upon that attempt, which I use upon the next or best route I will use.
So this is what I told, this is difference between optimistic and pessimistic thinking. Having this fear of what will happen after 10 years if I don't qualify for 3 times, then I give that exam, that means you will lose confidence. Be confident that yes, I can achieve anything. If not this, definitely something better would be stored for me. Not something less. You should keep in mind that there should be something better in store for me. That would raise your confidence level and you can do better things in your life.
So most of the students are asked why this use civil service like ISL, they can serve people like other ways. So what should be the answer? Like,
I told you that you can give an answer. Suppose if you are a qualified doctor and now you have chosen and qualified for the interview for KS or IAS, this question would firstly definitely be asked. So much public exchequer has been spent on you to make a doctor, and now you are saying, no, I will not become a doctor. Your response should start with good things about the profession, about the doctor, how they contribute to the society. But then you will come that over a period of time, I have found that I have a passion for doing something different other than this, where I can contribute in a better way, or in this very particular sector, in health sector, instead of carrying on throughout my life as a professional there, being a professional, having known the problems that this profession or this department faces in the field, if I get a chance as a civil servant, I will be able to contribute in a better way for the development of healthcare in the state. अल्टीमेटली तो आपने फैसला ले लिया है, आपको सवाल, बट नाउ देन यू हैव टू मेक दीज responses that would impress the panel.
So suppose if your candidate is answering each and every question, but his behavior was not good, suppose, but he answered each and every question that the interviewer asked of him, and his behavior was kind of something different. What will be the...
See, if his behavior while responding to the panel has been, which you yourself say, different, like arrogant, naturally he will be the loser. You see, you have to give a lot of respect to the panel, because it is they who have been mandated by law to assess you. So not only giving correct responses, but as I told you earlier, that there is a wafer thin difference, very thin line between being overconfident and being arrogant. Nobody would lie. Suppose if you are running an organization and you have to select a person, would you select an arrogant person? He might be Aflatun, Tismar Khan, but you would require something who has a combination of all the good traits. You will prefer him to be there. The same way the panel, maybe one is very Indian, but if his behavior is arrogant, tomorrow he has to deal with the public. So if he is not having respect for the panel and answering arrogantly towards them, naturally in their assessment they will find that he cannot be a good administrator, he cannot be a good police officer tomorrow. So the general behavior and the demeanor of a candidate is being assessed, and he should excel well in that.
What is the first thing that panel noticing candidates?
See, there are experienced people there. Firstly, the way you get in, your body language, way you come and sit, gives one impression what is your general personality all about. And after they ask 3-4 questions, your response to those initial 4-5 questions makes a good impression about the panel, what is the level of this candidate, and then it will go on accordingly. So the initial impression that you are able to make on the panel is very important. That's why you should prepare how to move in, what posture you take while sitting, and while you are being asked to introduce yourself, how you will introduce yourself, how you will present yourself before the panel, how you will highlight your positives, and then in your initial remarks only, even you can lead the panel to your areas of strength. In your initial remarks, you can say in the areas where you have strength. So you can use some typical phrases which will lead the panel to ask you questions out of that area in which you have studied. These are some of the tricks that you have to learn.
So while answering the question, we need to look at the particular panel who asked the question or each other.
See, eye contact is very important and it also reflects on your personality. Most of the time, you have to address the panel member who has asked the question. But in between, you can just 90% of the time towards the member, 10% other members should be also shown the face so that they also, because it is the panel that is interviewing you, maybe this question has been asked by a particular member, he would get more of your attention, but in between, other members would also see that you are attentive. But mostly the person who asked, you have to give your responses addressed to him.
So why is that we have seen such a good variation in the level of preliminary examination as we witnessed in 2018 and then 2022? There is such a huge variation in the level of preliminary examination.
See, it depends upon the. There has been some change in UPSC also. There,
Creating kind of ambiguity, confusion while preparing for prelims, because when we witnessed the 2018 question paper, we see that the level was
the level, yes, the level of the examination. They say that it was slightly tougher this year.
they are not being consistent in a way, so that we can come to that, we can prepare in that way. We should have that vision that okay, since 2021, 2022 might be a bit near to this level. They are completely changing the level. That creates some ambiguity.
In fact, you see, the framing of these question papers, it's a very confidential matter. Not even the members of the commission or because these are the experts who frame these questions. But once some such things, then after the examination come into the notes of the candidate, the commission advises the experts accordingly. If there are some discrepancies and they have a look at it, there have been some apprehensions of some candidates that the level that of the questions between the previous years and the year before, there was some difference. So the questions were very tough in that examination. But then again, it applies to everybody. All of them are being tested on a level playing field. Maybe if in a particular year the question paper was what you say that it was easy, people would score more and naturally the cutoff level would be the same because you have the select or the fixed number of candidates that you have to shortlist for the mains. So whether the question paper was tough or it was easy, it would be similar for everybody. So all have been given a level playing field. It is not that suppose Mr. Imtiaz has been given one paper and Mr. Muhammad Riaz has been given another paper, then there would be different level. Since it's a level playing field, so I don't think this matters much while selecting the candidate or shortlisting the candidates for next level. Is that okay? Yes. Yeah, you see, you have to have an answer for the span of life between you completed a degree and now you are applying for this thing. If you are not doing anything, the panel would definitely ask you what you have been doing for the last 5 years. Most of the people have the answer that I have been preparing for the civil services examination. But that should then get reflected. Yes, you appeared in UPS because they have that also in that draft. How many times you appeared for UPSC, how many times you appeared for JKAS examination. So if you have been consistently studying for this particular examination, no issues. It would not reflect badly on you. But if you are doing something, The only concern for the panelist, maybe he is slightly wasting the precious years of his youth not doing anything. That means he doesn't have the passion, the commitment of doing something. You should be able to justify why there is a break. And 2-3 years preparation break for civil services, it is not bad. It means that you want to achieve something and you are focused and you are preparing for this examination. That would affect, in fact, in a positive way on you.
As you said, the introduction part of the degree,
Hmm?
it is a kind of a driving force.
Yes, yes. That's why I told you that introduction or the first sentences you make, they, by those sentences you can guide the panel towards your areas of strength. So while introducing yourself, you can give a hint to the panel of about your areas of strength. So it is very important that you prepare beforehand the response to your introduction. You can,
Kindly throw some light to what you explained and what you talking about.
but it varies from person to person. Huh? For example, you have good knowledge about climate change, environment, sustainable development. So while you are introducing yourself, in between you can say that in addition to my hobbies that have been mentioned, I have a concern for the environment and sustainable development issues. That's all. So one of the members will definitely pick up and ask you questions on sustainable development. So this is how you say that you are leading the panel to your area of strength. Okay? See, what you have studied in your graduation? Computer applications. You are an computer application expert. Now then you have to choose one of the subjects out of that. Is the general trend is you go for those types of subjects who have something to do with general studies. Some chapters, because that would lead you, you can simultaneously prepare for your optional subject as well as your general studies papers. For example, you can study political science and international relations. That, or you can go for public administration, because these concepts, they are don't require that sort of detailed knowledge, basic knowledge of these subjects. They are new subjects and you can start preparing for them. Or you can enroll yourself through for a PG degree through IGNO or something on this area of your interest, and you can prepare for that.
There has been kind of rumor that optional is going to get scrapped. Is it?
Don't believe in rumors. Whatever comes, it will come forward. Abhi, why are you thinking what will happen 10 years after? Your today's focus should be that if you have qualified mains, how can I qualify the personality test? And if you are preparing for the examination, the way it is, you can go for it. It will not be suddenly that you have prepared for this year and they will say, no, we will scrap the optional. When it is scrapped, तब देखा जाएगा. Is that okay? So be at your confident best. All of you are the best. Firstly, thinking about going for civil services, that means you have that chingari in your heart and you will go for that. Work on your strengths and particularly about your communication skills and about the general knowledge, the current affairs, and your perseverance will lead you to the personality test and then to getting that job. I wish all of you all the best, and it was so nice interacting with you.
इंसान अच्छा है या नहीं है प्राइमरीली मिलकर ही पता चलता है। उसके आंसर से वो ब्लफ कर सकता है। जैसे आप एथिक्स का पेपर इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ, तो एथिक्स का पेपर तो चल रहा है तब से, लेकिन तब भी आपके करप्ट ऑफिसर्स निकल रहे हैं। तो एथिक्स में आप ब्लफ कर सकते हो, ऑनेस्टी पे आप ब्लफ कर सकते हो, मार्क्स जब आप आंसर लिखते हो उसमें आप ब्लफ कर सकते हो। इंटरव्यू में मुश्किल हो जाता है। इंटरव्यू में जो साइकोलॉजिस्ट होता है या बिहेवियर एनालिस्ट होता है उसको पता चल जाता है कि आप घुमाने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, आप किस किस्म के इंसान हो। तो देयर आर सम क्राइटेरियाज जिनको हम स्पेसिफिकली इंसान के अंदर देखते हैं, तो पता चलता है कि ये इंसान दुरुस्त है या इंसान का नेगेटिव एटीट्यूड है। तो इंटरव्यू की ओरिएंटेशन ज़रूरी है, बिकॉज सबसे ज़्यादा वक्त जिसमें आपको लगेगा दैट इज़ पर्सनैलिटी डेवलपमेंट में। अब देखिए, सर ने अभी कहा कि पर्सनैलिटी शुरू से ही तैयार कर लो आप अपनी, और शुरू से तैयार करने का मकसद ये है बिकॉज इसमें बहुत वक्त लगता है ये चीज़ करने में। मान के चलिए आपका अभी तक ज़िंदगी गुजारने का एक तरीका है, अब वो तरीका अगर उसमें कुछ नेगेटिविटी है, कुछ वीकनेस है, उसको ठीक करना है, वो रातों रात ठीक नहीं होती। आंसर लिखना सीख जाओगे आप 2 हफ्तों में, पर्सनालिटी नहीं बदल सकते आप, उसमें वक्त लगता है। कंटिन्यूस ग्रूमिंग करनी है, तब जाके बदलाव आता है उसमें। सर ने कहा इंग्लिश ज़रूरी नहीं है, मगर साथ में ये भी कहा कम्युनिकेशन अच्छा होना चाहिए। मुझे बताओ, क्या ये रातों रात हो सकता है? इट विल टेक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम। सो प्राइमरीली मैंने जितने भी बच्चे देखे हैं जिनने अच्छा क्वालिफाई किया, दे हैव वेरी सॉलिड पर्सनालिटी, और वो ओवरनाइट नहीं बनती है। तो इस प्रिपरेशन में जिसमें सबसे ज़्यादा वक्त लगे वो चीज़ पहले से शुरू करनी चाहिए। तो मेरा तरीका है जैसे इसको लेने का, दैट इज़ इंटरव्यू दिमाग में पहले होना चाहिए आपको, सेकंड आपके दिमाग में मेंस होना चाहिए, और तीसरे लेवल पे आपके दिमाग में प्रीलिम्स होना चाहिए, प्रीलिम्स टेस्ट। बिकॉज प्रीलिम्स के लिए वी डोंट नीड आंसर राइटिंग स्किल, कोई स्किल नहीं चाहिए वहाँ। हम आपको टॉपिक पता है, उसके 3 पॉइंट्स पता है, आपका प्री का क्वेश्चन हो जाएगा, मगर उसके लिए कोई स्किल डेवलपमेंट नहीं करना है, पर्सनालिटी बदलनी नहीं है, वक्त नहीं लगता उसमें। जस्ट केएस की अगर बात करेंगे, केएस के प्रीलिम्स के जस्ट 2 महीने पहले से आपने अगर थोड़ा थोड़ा हर एक सब्जेक्ट के बारे में पढ़ा है, 2 महीने में यूल बी प्रीलिम्स रेडी, प्रीलिम्स के लायक आप हो जाओगे। 2 मंथ्स, 2 मंथ तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा है। आईएएस के लिए इट विल बी अराउंड 3.5 मंथ्स, प्रीलिम्स के लिए स्पेसिफिक। तो 3 महीने में आप प्री ओरिएंटेड, आपका प्री वाला स्टैंडर्ड डेवलप हो जाएगा 3 मंथ्स। पर मेंस वाला स्टैंडर्ड डेवलप करने में मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है इट विल टेक यू अराउंड 6 to 8 मंथ्स, जहाँ पर आप मेंस रेडी हो जाओगे। ऑप्शनल, आंसर राइटिंग, हाउ टू आंसर द क्वेश्चंस जिसके बारे में यू हैव नो नॉलेज, बिकॉज एवरीबडी वुड टेल यू आपको मेंस में कोई भी क्वेश्चन स्किप नहीं करना है। अब ऐसा तो सवाल ही पैदा नहीं है कि 20 क्वेश्चन है और आपको 20 के 20 आते हैं, इट इज़ इम्पॉसिबल। लेकिन जो नहीं आता है उसको कैसे लिखना है, दैट इज अ स्किल दैट यू हैव टू डेवलप ओवर टाइम। इट विल टेक यू अराउंड 6 to 8 मंथ्स। और सबसे ज़्यादा वक्त लगता है पर्सनैलिटी बनाने में, इट विल टेक यू अराउंड 12 मंथ्स, ताकि आप वो एटीट्यूड डेवलप कर सको। आप करना, जैसे आपने बहुत सारे ऑफिसर्स के साथ बात किया होगा, खासकर आईएएस ऑफिसर्स के साथ, आपको लगेगा मोरलेस इनकी पर्सनैलिटी के ट्रेट्स लगभग सेम है। ऐसा हो सकता है कि कोई करप्ट है, कोई ऑनेस्ट है, वो ठीक है, वो अलग चीज़ हो गया। लेकिन एक चीज़ों के बारे में सोचना, उसका एनालिसिस करना, उसका एक सोल्यूशन ओरिएंटेड दिमाग रखना, अप्रोच क्या होना चाहिए। अभी आप सारे करानगर में हो, आपको करानगर के मामला, अब यू हैव टू स्पेंड 1 year इन करानगर, मोर देन 1 year, 1.5 year इन करानगर। तो करानगर के बारे में आपने क्या ऑब्जर्व किया अभी तक? तो ऑब्जर्वेशनल स्किल्स पर्सनालिटी में होना चाहिए। तो ये ऐसे खाली पीली 2-3 महीने में आता नहीं है, इट टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम। सो यूपीएससी ने और केएस ने, दोनों ने, उन्होंने इंटरव्यू का पूरा सिलेबस दिया है कि हम आपसे क्या चाहते हैं। और मेरा ये मानना, ये सिलेबस इतना ज़्यादा डीप सिलेबस है, इट विल टेक यू अराउंड 12 मंथ्स जो वो चाहते हैं वैसा बनना। मैं सिलेबस आपके सामने रखूँगा, स्पेसिफिक उन्होंने क्या क्या वर्ड्स रखे हैं, और उसको इंटरप्रेट करेंगे हम कि उसका मतलब क्या है, ताकि आपके कम से कम दिमाग में आए कि वो कैसा इंसान चाहते हैं। तो मेजरली जितने भी आपके क्वेश्चंस थे जो आपने सर को फॉरवर्ड किए, इफ़ यू हैड लुक्ड एट द सिलेबस ऑफ द इंटरव्यू, आपका मामला, आपके सारे सवालों का जवाब उधर ही मिल जाता आपको कि वो चाहता क्या है आपसे। ठीक है, अब लेट्स सी व्हाट द सिलेबस इज। उसके बाद से आई कैन ऑल्सो गिव यू सम अप्रोचेस टू आंसर सम क्वेश्चंस। यूपीएससी ने और केएस ने अपने सिलेबस में जो सबसे पहली चीज़ लिखी है, दैट इज वी विल बी जजिंग यू ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ नंबर 1, मेंटल अलर्टनेस। मेंटल अलर्टनेस, ये लिख लो कहीं पे, मेंटल अलर्टनेस। बेटा मार्कर लाना। मेंटल अलर्टनेस, देखो, इफ यू डेवलप दिस, आपको जो अभी कोचिंग में दिक्कतें आ रही है वो नहीं आएंगी आपको। मेंटल अलर्टनेस, नाउ सी what do they mean by mental alertness? For example, it's a state of high sensory awareness. अभी मैं समझाऊंगा आपको एक एक करके क्या है. It is a state of high sensory awareness. Being quick to perceive, being quick to act, curious and an inquisitive mind. Curious and an inquisitive mind. और लेकर आओ 2-3 वहां से. And an inquisitive mind. State of high sensory awareness. For example, आपको सवाल पूछा, फॉर एग्जाम्पल यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड का मामला चल रहा है और यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड का इंपैक्ट क्या रहेगा मुस्लिम वुमेन पर. पॉजिटिव इंपैक्ट. अब हम सबको पता है पॉजिटिव इंपैक्ट क्या है इसका, लेकिन बहुत कम लोगों को इसका नेगेटिव इंपैक्ट पता है. यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड को डिफेंड करते करते आपने पॉजिटिविटी वाले सारे आर्ग्यूमेंट्स ले लिए, नेगेटिव इंपैक्ट किसी को पता नहीं उसका अभी तक. तो आपको जब मैं सवाल पूछ रहा था कि पॉजिटिव के साथ मुझे चैलेंजेस बताओ कि मुस्लिम वुमेन क्या चैलेंजेस फेस करेंगे जब यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड पूरा लागू हो जाएगा, और आप मुझे जवाब दे रहे हो फिर से वही पॉजिटिव वाला. इसका मतलब आपसे सवाल अच्छे से सुना नहीं, आप में मेंटल अलर्टनेस नहीं है. आपको मैं सवाल पूछ रहा हूं, आपको सवाल ही समझ नहीं आ रहा. तो ये क्लास में भी होता है. अगर यू आर नॉट एबल टू परसीव पहले ही बार में, और आप पैनलिस्ट को बताते हो कि सर प्लीज रिपीट द क्वेश्चन, आपके उधर ही मार्क्स कटेंगे, डिडक्ट हो जाएंगे. व्हाई? बिकॉज यू आर नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट द पैनलिस्ट इज ट्राइंग टू टेल यू. तो यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड इन द फर्स्ट गो, पहली बार में ही समझना है. और ये धीरे धीरे डेवलप होता है. ये अब बचपन में आपको आदत है सर रिपीट कराइए, सर रिपीट कराइए, तो 3-4 बार रिपीट कराते हैं आप. इट विल नॉट वर्क व्हेन पर्सनालिटी टेस्ट इज कंडक्टेड. वहाँ रेपिटेशन नहीं हो सकता. इनफैक्ट वो इरिटेट होकर क्वेश्चन स्विच कर लेंगे. तो यू हैव टू बी वेरी क्विक टू परसीव कि उन्होंने क्या पूछा, उसको जल्दी से पकड़कर अच्छा सा एक एनालिसिस करके जवाब निकालकर उनको बता दिया. वो कैसे निकालना होता है वो भी देखेंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई गिव यू वन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ मेंटल अलर्टनेस. देयर वाज अ गाय, ये यूपीएससी चेयरमैन, एक्स चेयरमैन ने अपने इंटरव्यू में बोला है. देयर वाज अ गाय हु केम इन, जैसे बोला कि मे आई कम इन सर, ही गॉट इनटू द इंटरव्यू बोर्ड. वहाँ पर यूपीएससी में अलग अलग बोर्ड होते हैं, तो आपको अब कौन सा बोर्ड मिला वो ऊपर वाले तक है. बिकॉज कुछ बोर्ड्स में आप बहुत अच्छा स्कोर करते हो, वो आपको अच्छा स्कोर मिलता है. कुछ बोर्ड ऐसा होता है कि वो अच्छा स्कोर नहीं देते. उसमें भी जैसे लड़का पूछ रहा था कि लक का फैक्टर है, बिल्कुल है. अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं आपका इंटरव्यू ले रहा हूँ, अब अल्लाह ताला ने मेरे दिमाग में कौन सा सवाल डाला वो तो इट्स नॉट अप टू मी. तो पूछूंगा जो पूछूंगा आ जाएगा दिमाग में. अब आपके वक्त आसान सवाल आए और दूसरे के वक्त मुश्किल सवाल दिमाग में आ गए. इट्स ऑल लक. आप वहाँ तक पहुँच सकते हो अपनी हार्डवर्क से, उसके आगे इंटरव्यू के आगे आप सिर्फ लक पे जाते हो. अब वो जब लड़का अंदर आया, उससे बोला मैं कम इन सर, तो आ गया. उनको बोला बैठिए आप. जैसे वो अंदर आ रहा था तो उसको पसीना था काफ़ी, तो उसे रुमाल निकाल कर पसीना पोंछा और रुमाल वापस अपने जेब में रखी और हल्की सी रुमाल बाहर से अटक रही थी. तो यूपीएससी चेयरमैन सर ने उनको पूछा व्हाट इज दैट. अब उसको पता है कि फंस गया मैं, लाइक इट डज नॉट लुक गुड. तो उसने कहा दैट सर इज अ डेमोन्स्ट्रेटिव प्रोनाउन. क्या बोला कि दैट क्या है, एक प्रोनाउन है. दैट इज मेंटल अलर्टनेस, क्विक टू परसीव. जब जल्दी आपने समझा. एक लड़के को पूछा, ये भी यूपीएससी का सवाल, एक लड़के को पूछा यहाँ पर आपका कौन सा है वाटर बॉडी, बे ऑफ बंगाल. बे ऑफ बंगाल कौन सी स्टेट में है, कौन सी स्टेट में, लिक्विड स्टेट में है ना, ये भी यूपीएससी के इंटरव्यू का क्वेश्चन है. As there was another guy जिसको there's this गर्ल जिसको ये पूछा गया था. कभी कभार ऐसा पूछा जाता है, इट्स नॉट दैट कि हर एक इंसान को पूछा जाएगा. कभी एक लड़की को पूछा गया था, अचानक से आप सुबह उठे एंड यू फाउंड आउट दैट यू आर प्रेग्नेंट, सो आप क्या करोगे? अब उसने क्या बोला कि सर जैसे ही मैं उठूंगी आई विल गो टू माई हस्बैंड और उसको मैं एक गुड न्यूज़ बताऊंगी. दैट इज मेंटल अलर्टनेस. बहुत सारी लड़कियों ने सोचा होगा सत्ता नस लग के क्या हो गया, है ना. दैट इज ऑल, दिस इज ऑल मेंटल अलर्टनेस. कि आपने कोई चीज़ ली, उसको समझा और कैसे आपने एक नेगेटिव चीज़ को पॉजिटिव में कन्वर्ट किया. सो दिस इज हाउ मेंटल अलर्टनेस. क्यूरियस माइंड, बी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. बहुत सारे, अब लाइक मैं 6 साल से इंटरव्यू कर रहा हूँ, बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे होते हैं जिनके साथ आपको बात करने का मन नहीं करता, बिकॉज वो इतना बोरिंग इंसान है, वो हर चीज़ को बोरिंग बना लेता है. उसको बोलना है, जो भी बात बोलनी है उसको बताए कि बताइए आपके प्रॉब्लम्स क्या क्या है, वो ऐसे प्रॉब्लम्स बताएगा जैसे वो प्रॉब्लम उसके साथ हो रही है. तो ही इज लाइक वेरी बोरिंग, मेकिंग एवरीथिंग क्वाइट बोरिंग. यू हैव टू बी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. जैसा सर ने कहा, एंथुसियाज्म फूटना चाहिए आपके अंदर, कि लगा कि नहीं भाई कोई आया था, कोई एनर्जी डालकर निकल गया है. तो दैट इज योर फर्स्ट पार्ट, मेंटल अलर्टनेस. सेकेंड, आपके सिलेबस में दे हैव मेंशन्ड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट critical power of assimilation. Critical power of assimilation. Critical power of assimilation. मान के चलिए मैंने आपको कुछ फैक्ट्स दिए, मैंने आपको बताया कि इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स में प्रॉब्लम क्या है. आप बताएंगे इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स में करप्शन है, इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स में क्रिमिनल हमारा जो पार्लियामेंट है, मोर देन 60% ऑफ योर पार्लियामेंट आर कन्विक्टेड क्रिमिनल्स. वी हैव प्रॉब्लम ऑफ ब्लैक मनी, जो फंडिंग किया जाता है इलेक्शंस में. वी हैव प्रॉब्लम ऑफ हेट स्पीच. आप ये बता रहे हो कि इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स में प्रॉब्लम क्या है. यू आर जस्ट कोटिंग फैक्ट्स. दैट इज नॉट अ क्रिटिकल पावर ऑफ असिमिलेशन. क्रिटिकल पावर ऑफ असिमिलेशन है जो आपके पास फैक्ट्स है, उस फैक्ट्स का मुरब्बा बनाकर आपने क्या रेसिपी बनाई. और रेसिपी ये बनाई मैंने, सर इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स का प्रॉब्लम ये है कि हम शॉर्ट टर्म टारगेट्स पर फोकस करते हैं और लॉन्ग टर्म गोल्स दिमाग में नहीं रखते हैं. ये प्रॉब्लम है. शॉर्ट टर्म बेनिफिट के लिए लॉन्ग टर्म गोल कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ करते हैं. फिर वो पूछेगा कैसे, फिर आपको बोलने हैं फैक्ट्स. तो क्रिटिकल पावर हो गया, आपके पास जो फैक्ट्स है उसको आप कैसे इस्तेमाल करके, कैसे इंटरप्रेट करके एक अच्छा रिजल्ट दे सकते हो. इट्स नॉट जस्ट कोट द फैक्ट्स. वी डोंट वांट टू कोट द फैक्ट्स, वी वांट टू क्रिटिकली असिमिलेट दोज फैक्ट्स. So that is critical power of assimilation. Write down quality of putting together facts. Quality of putting together facts, not the way they come to you. Not the way they come to you, but after examining them critically. After examining them critically. That is your second part. It will take a lot of practice जब आप ये चीज़ कर पाओगे, फैक्ट्स को असिमिलेट कर पाओगे. नंबर 3, this is a problem of majority of Kashmiri students. Clear and logical exposition. Clear and logical exposition. आपको कोई सवाल पूछते हैं, आप किसी और सवाल का जवाब देते हो. आप क्लैरिटी नहीं है सवाल जवाबों में. आपको पूछा कि जम्मू में या श्रीनगर में जो आपके लेट्स सपोज स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स हैं, उनको क्या प्रॉब्लम का सामना करना पड़ता है. सिंपल क्वेश्चन. आपने जैसे ही सवाल पूछा, क्लैरिटी क्या है? क्लैरिटी है सर स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स में जो प्रॉब्लम है, देयर आर मल्टीपल प्रॉब्लम्स. मल्टीपल, इज अ गोल्डन वर्ड फॉर योर इंटरव्यू, मल्टीपल। मल्टीपल प्रॉब्लम्स। आपका पहला प्रॉब्लम सोशल एंगल का ये वाला है, दूसरा प्रॉब्लम इकोनॉमिक एंगल का ये वाला है, तीसरा प्रॉब्लम टेक्नोलॉजिकल वाला ये है, चौथा प्रॉब्लम पॉलिटिकल वाला ये है। क्लैरिटी है। आपने जैसे ही सवाल सुना आपने पॉज लिया थोड़ा सा एंड देन यू ड्राफ्टेड एन आंसर। पॉलिटिकल वाला एंगल, सोशल वाला एंगल, टेक्नोलॉजी वाला एंगल, इकोनॉमिक वाला एंगल, इसको हम पेस्टल टेक्निक कहते हैं। तो आपने क्लैरिटी दिखाई, सर मैं सोशल का, इकोनॉमिक का, टेक्नोलॉजी का, पॉलिटिक्स का, ये 4 फैक्टर्स है। इस क्लैरिटी आपका लॉजिक बोलता है। जैसे ही आपने देखा, जैसे कल हमने एक इंटरव्यू पब्लिक किया, जस्ट लुक एट दैट गाय, वो बोलता है सर इसमें 3 फैक्टर्स है, पहला, दूसरा, तीसरा, बस चुप। वो ज़्यादा ना एग्जैजरेट करता है ना कम बोलता है, बिल्कुल दरमियानी आपका अप्रोच होना चाहिए हर चीज़ को लेकर। आपको स्पेसिफिकली जो पूछा जाता है, गो फॉर द बुल्सआई। घुमाने की कोशिश नहीं करनी, ज़्यादा नॉलेज दिखाने की कोशिश नहीं करनी, वो भी एक नेगेटिव एस्पेक्ट है पर्सनैलिटी का। और यू आर नथिंग कंपेयर टू जो पैनल में वो लोग बैठे होंगे वहाँ। लाइक सर, he was promoted to IAS, he's been in service from last 40 years। इसने कितने सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स को ऊपर चेयर किया है। अब क्या लेवल का एक्सपर्टीज होगा बंदे का एग्रीकल्चर में। he's been an agricultural director for a long time, then JKPSC में चेयरमैन। अब क्या लेवल ऑफ एक्सपर्टीज होगा, कितना उसको नॉलेज पता होगा सब चीज़ के बारे में, और डेप्थ की नॉलेज। बिकॉज किताबों से पढ़ना इज़ अ सेपरेट थिंग और वो चीज़ जीना इज़ अ सेपरेट थिंग। इन्होंने जी होती है वो ज़िंदगी। आप उनको कुछ चंद किताबें बोलकर आप उनको इम्प्रेस कर नहीं सकते। वैसे जैसे देयर वाज दिस गाय सार्थक अग्रवाल, ही क्वालिफाइड UPSC। उसने क्या बोला अपने इंटरव्यू में, एक हिस्ट्री के प्रोफेसर बैठे थे और वो हिस्ट्री के प्रोफेसर को बोल रहा है, जब शेरशाह सूरी पे क्वेश्चन आया था, शेरशाह सूरी पे उसको बोल रहा है कि सर लेटली आई हैव रियलाइज्ड कि शेरशाह सूरी वाज अ ब्रिलियंट इकोनॉमिस्ट। उसने ऐसे ऐसे किया, वैसे किया, वैसे किया। वो प्रोफेसर उसको बोलता है, दिस इज नॉट, यू हैव नॉट रियलाइज्ड इट, इट्स एन एस्टैब्लिश्ड फैक्ट। मिडीवल इंडिया में जब हम पढ़ते हैं तो पता है हमें कि शेरशाह सूरी वाज अ ब्रिलियंट इकोनॉमिस्ट। आपने ये लेटली रियलाइज नहीं किया, ये एस्टैब्लिश्ड फैक्ट है हिस्ट्री के अंदर। तो उसको लगा था कि इसको कहाँ पता होगा शेरशाह सूरी वाज एन इकोनॉमिक एनालिस्ट। वो चीज़ है, डोंट ट्राई टू ब्लफ, डोंट ट्राई टू एग्जैजरेट ऑन पॉइंट्स, बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक। सर ये 5 चीज़ें हैं, ये 1 2 3 4 के 5 करके ख़त्म कर लो बस। जितना आप ज़्यादा बोलेंगे, सर ने कहा, यू आर इन्वाइटिंग ट्रबल। तो क्लैरिटी होना चाहिए, वो पूछ रहा है उसी का जवाब। यहाँ पर भी आंसर्स में भी, आंसर आपको क्वेश्चन देते हैं, पता नहीं क्या लिख, मुझे नहीं पता किसका पेपर था वो, क्वेश्चन हमने ISI पे दिया था, आंसर किसी बच्चे ने ISIS पे लिखा था। ISIS ना, इस्लामिक स्टेट ऑफ इराक एंड द सीरिया, उस पर आंसर लिखा था। क्वेश्चन था पाकिस्तान के ISI पे। तो कहीं क्योंकि आपको ISIS के बारे में पता है तो ISIS ठूस दिया आपने, तो डोंट डू दैट। नंबर 4, देयर इज बैलेंस ऑफ जजमेंट, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। बैलेंस ऑफ जजमेंट, बैलेंस ऑफ जजमेंट। एक इंसान जो बैलेंस्ड है, जो रैडिकल नहीं है, जो एक्सट्रीमिस्ट नहीं है। नाउ देयर इज अ कॉनोटेशन टू इट। Being radical not only means you're radical as far as your religion is concerned, not only that, you're radical in your thoughts beyond religion, you're radical in your approach to life। आप काम कर रहे हो तो इतना काम कर रहे हो कि आपकी पर्सनल लाइफ बिगड़ गई है पूरी की पूरी। आप नहीं पढ़ रहे हो तो इतना इतना घूम रहे हो कि आपका पढ़ाई नहीं हो रहा। दिस इज बीइंग रैडिकल, दिस इज बीइंग एक्सट्रीम। तो ऐसा इंसान नहीं चाहिए जो एक्सट्रीम लेवल पर काम करता है। वी नीड इंसान जो मध्यम लेवल पर है, मीडियम लेवल पर है। तो बैलेंस ऑफ जजमेंट हो गया, अवॉइड रैडिकल व्यू पॉइंट्स, अवॉइड एक्सट्रीम व्यू पॉइंट्स। जैसे आर्टिकल 370, अब आपको पता है कुछ टाइम से आर्टिकल 370 जैसे एब्रोगेट हुआ, कि गवर्नमेंट ने किया, और गवर्नमेंट को पसंद नहीं आएगा कि कोई इसके खिलाफ बोलेगा कि आपका इसमें क्या नुकसान हुआ वगैरह वगैरह। आपको बोलना है, अच्छी बातें बोलनी है, तो आप ओवर द टॉप जाके गवर्नमेंट को इतना ज़्यादा डिफेंड करने बैठते हो, वो आपका बैलेंस नहीं दिखाता है। लगता है ये चमचा बनेगा, ये केस नहीं बनेगा। तो बैलेंस ऑफ जजमेंट में क्या होना चाहिए, इंडिपेंडेंट थॉट होना चाहिए, इंडिपेंडेंट थॉट। जहां एब्रोगेशन ऑफ 370 से आप अपने आप से पूछो या इवन बीजेपी वालों से पूछो कि भाई प्योरली ऑन इकोनॉमिक टर्म्स या पॉलिटिकल टर्म्स मुझे बताओ क्या इसमें फ़ायदा है वो आपको बताएंगे। ये 4 फ़ायदे हैं, मैं लिख कर बताता हूँ कि ये 4 फ़ायदे कश्मीर को होंगे, और होंगे उसमें क्या दिक्कत है। अगर फ़ायदे हो रहे हैं, अगर वो सच है तो हो रहा है फ़ायदा, और अगर नहीं हो रहा फ़ायदा तो वो भी तो सच है। तो आपके पास अगर 4 फ़ायदे हैं तो 2 नुकसान भी होने चाहिए। तो आपने बताया सर एप्लीकेशन 370 का फ़ायदा ही फ़ायदा है, जस्ट कि आपको वो चम्मच बनना है। दैट वुड नॉट शो इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ थॉट। यू डोंट हैव टू ट्राई टू डिफेंड गवर्नमेंट एट ईच एंड एवरी लेवल। जहां पर गवर्नमेंट अच्छा काम कर रही है तो कर रही है, साथ में सर ये चैलेंजेस भी है, ये 2-3 मामले भी है, इनके ऊपर भी नजर होनी चाहिए। बैलेंस ऑफ जजमेंट, आप ना उधर जा रहे हो ना इधर जा रहे हो, बैलेंस है आपका। यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड, पता है आपको, प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने कहा यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड लाना है, गवर्नमेंट का एजेंडा है कि 24 का इलेक्शन आ रहा है, वी हैव टू इंप्लीमेंट यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड इन इंडिया। अब यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड का द प्रेजेंट रेजीम इज वेरी फॉन्ड ऑफ यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड, उनको लेकर आना है ये। इनफैक्ट प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने रिसेंटली कहा एक घर है और घर में मल्टीपल लॉज है, तो ऐसा घर तो काम नहीं करेगा, क्योंकि एक ही घर में एक लॉ होना चाहिए। तो अगर हिंदूज का अलग लॉ है, मुस्लिम्स का अलग पर्सनल लॉ है, तो वो घर काम नहीं करेगा ऐसे। तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर चाहता है कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड आना चाहिए। अब आप जाओगे उसको हर जगह पर डिफेंड करने या हर जगह पर नुक्स निकालने, दैट शुड नॉट हैपन। हर चीज़ के मेरिट पर चमचेबाजी नहीं, मेरिट पर फायदे भी होते हैं और नुकसान भी होते हैं। फिर ज़्यादा क्या है कम क्या है वो बाद की बात है, पर फायदे भी है नुकसान भी। देयर इज अ वर्स इन द कुरान वेयर इन गॉड सेज कि शराब के अंदर इंसानों के लिए फायदे भी है नुकसान भी है, लेकिन ज़्यादा नुकसान है। तो दिस इज गॉड इज टेलिंग यू टू हैव अ बैलेंस्ड अप्रोच टू थिंग्स। तो आपका हर चीज़ जिसको भी लेना है तो क्रिटिकली देखना कि फायदे हैं नुकसान है, सर ये मेरा इंडिपेंडेंट थॉट है इसका। डोंट ट्राई टू हैव दैट चमचेबाजी वाला एटीट्यूड, उसमें इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ थॉट नहीं दिखता। उसके बाद दिस इज बैलेंस। देन वी हैव वैरायटी एंड डेप्थ ऑफ इंटरेस्ट। वैरायटी एंड डेप्थ ऑफ इंटरेस्ट, ये है थोड़ा मुश्किल वाला हिस्सा। वैरायटी एंड डेप्थ ऑफ इंटरेस्ट, यहां पर आई डोंट अग्री विद सम ऑफ द टीचर्स जो कहते हैं कि डैफ में कम कम लिखो, क्योंकि जितना ज़्यादा लिखोगे उतना ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन आएगा। अब देखिए, अगर आपने डैफ में बहुत कम चीज़ें लिखी ताकि आप बचना चाहते हो सवालों से, आपने हॉबी लिखनी है नहीं लिखी आपने एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटी लिखी है नहीं लिखा आपने इंटरेस्ट लिखना है। भाई इंटरेस्ट किसका नहीं है दुनिया में, मुझे बताओ। इंटरेस्ट भी नहीं लिखा आपने, आप क्या कर रहे हो, आप अवॉइड कर रहे हो क्वेश्चंस को। अब ये है आपकी डेडली फॉर्मूला, बिकॉज डैफ से अगर सवाल नहीं आया, वो आसमान की छत के नीचे कहीं से भी सवाल लेकर आ सकता है और उसमें आप फंस जाओगे। फिर इट इज ऑलवेज बेटर टू गिव देम दैट थिंग कि ये सर ये 3 हॉबीज है, इसमें से सवाल पूछिए आप। ये इंटरेस्ट है मेरा, ये मैंने काम किया था, बैडमिंटन में मैंने कुछ खेला था, ये मेरा इसमें प्राइज वाइज मिला था, स्कॉलरशिप मिली थी अब्दुल कलाम वाली, अब्दुल कलाम ले जाओ उनको, अब्दुल कलाम है वहाँ से वो स्पेस में घुसेंगे, सारा भाई पे जाएंगे, वहाँ से न्यूक्लियर में चले जाएंगे। तो यू आर टेलिंग देम व्हाट टू आस्क। तो इफ़ यू डोंट राइट इट दे कैन आस्क एनीथिंग अंडर द स्काई। तो इसमें क्या है, अगर आपने डैफ अच्छे से फिल नहीं किया और आपने उसको ओपन रखा, आपके सिलेबस में मेंशन है वैरायटी ऑफ इंटरेस्ट। वैरायटी हो गया रेंज ऑफ टॉपिक्स। रेंज ऑफ टॉपिक्स आपने कितना कवर किया, रेंज कितनी कवर की है। और सिर्फ रेंज कवर नहीं करना, रेंज कवर करने का मतलब मुझे इकोनॉमी के बारे में, ज्योग्राफी के बारे में, हिस्ट्री के बारे में, एनवायरनमेंट के बारे में, टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में, नैनोटेक, स्पेस टेक, सब के बारे में रेंज है मेरी इतनी। फिर वो रेंज चेक नहीं करेगा, वो डेप्थ भी चेक करेगा कि आपकी नॉलेज कितनी डीप है, कितने अंदर घुसे उसके अंदर। अब आपने अगर डैफ फिल नहीं किया तो दिस इज व्हाट दे विल डू। प्राइमरीली शुरू में जिनका इंटरव्यू होता है, क्योंकि पैनलिस्ट जैसे सर ने अभी भी कहा, शुरू में क्योंकि वो प्रिपेयर करते हैं, हर कोई प्रिपेयर करता है कि केएस वालों का इंटरव्यू लेना है, यही लोग होंगे कल को डीसी बनेंगे, कल को पुलिस वाले बनेंगे, तो उनकी भी जिम्मेदारी है कि अच्छे अच्छे सवाल पूछे, तो वो पहले तैयार करते हैं। जैसे ही कुछ दिन होने लगते हैं उसके बाद उनके सवाल अब कितना ही तैयार करेगा इंसान। इनफैक्ट तो पहले दिन में ही मान के चलिए 18-20 बच्चों का इंटरव्यू करना है दिन में, तो शुरू के इंटरव्यू 5-10 इंटरव्यू बहुत अच्छे से चलते हैं। उसके बाद जो आखिर वाले इंटरव्यू होते हैं ना, वो ऐसा होता है कि इससे फॉर्मेलिटी हो रही है। हाँ बेटा आपने क्या पढ़ा है, अब सवाल तो ख़त्म हो गया, अब बताइए अभी क्या चल रहा है दुनिया में, कुछ मेजर इश्यूज़ बताओ क्या चल रहा है। और सर अब आपको यहीं से बोलना है, सर ये रशिया यूक्रेन चल रहा है, अच्छा क्यों हुआ रशिया यूक्रेन, तो वहीं से यू हैव टू गिव देम द क्वेश्चंस बिकॉज दे डोंट हैव क्वेश्चंस। तो ये शुरू खासकर आखिर के कुछ इंटरव्यूज बिल्कुल फॉर्मेलिटी होती है वो। अब आपका तो पता नहीं आपका पहला आएगा आखिर का आएगा, कुछ आइडिया नहीं है, वहीं से आता है सारा लिस्ट। तो अगर आखिर का इंटरव्यू हुआ वहाँ तो पता है, लाइक जस्ट 2 days बैक देयर वाज अ गाय जिसने मुझे कहा सर मेरा आखिरी सीरियल है, मुझे पता है वो फॉर्मेलिटी जैसा होगा, तो हाउ वुड आई लेवल अप द इंटरव्यू कि मैं उसको इंटरेस्टिंग कैसे बनाऊँ। फिर मैंने बैठकर उसके साथ थोड़े क्वेश्चंस निकाले हमने कि यहाँ पर तुम ऐसे बोलना, वहाँ पर तुम ऐसे बोलना, वो फिर वहाँ पे चला जाएगा, फिर वहाँ पर हम ऐसा बोल सकते हैं। तो वो उस पर काम करना है, यू हैव टू लेवल अप द इंटरव्यू आपके क्वेश्चंस के बेसिस पर। वो आपको वहीं से पूछेगा कि क्या क्या चल रहा है दुनिया में, उसके बाद उसकी डेप्थ। मेजरली हम लोग ऐसी बातें बोल देते हैं जिसके बारे में हमें कुछ खास आइडिया नहीं होता। बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक इन व्हाट यू से। नेक्स्ट है आपका अबिलिटी ऑफ सोशल कोहिजन एंड लीडरशिप, मेंशन इन योर सिलेबस। अबिलिटी ऑफ सोशल कोहिजन लीडर, ये तो पता है कि लीडरशिप क्वालिटी चाहिए। अब आपने जब अपना डैफ फिल किया या जब आप उनसे बात करते हो, उनको कहीं पर नहीं लगता कि बंदे ने कुछ लीड भी किया है ज़िंदगी में या नहीं, या कर भी सकता है या नहीं। लीडरशिप क्या होती है? आपके पास जो रिसोर्सेज है, आप इन रिसोर्सेज को कैसे असिमुलेट करके लीड करोगे, आगे चलाओगे फॉर अ स्पेसिफिक कॉज। अब जो भी आपने लीड करना है उसमें प्राइमरीली ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज की बात हो रही है। कोई ऐसी एग्जाम्पल आपकी ज़िंदगी में जहाँ पर आपने ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज को लीड किया है, क्रिकेट टीम में या फिर किसी इवेंट में, किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में आपने कोई प्रोजेक्ट हेड किया हो जहाँ पर आपने ह्यूमन रिसोर्स को लीड किया हो फॉर अ स्पेसिफिक कॉज। लीडरशिप के लिए सबसे पहले आपके पास एक कॉज होना चाहिए कि आप एक ख्वाब बेचते हो। लीडर कौन होता है? ऐसे आप whether you accept it or not, but Prime Minister Modi is one of the biggest leaders that we have in India right now. Why? Because उसने आपको ख्वाब दिया था 2014 में, विकास। Now what was that? He was selling you a dream. Now they are selling you a dream. Whatever, like पाकिस्तान में या इमरान खान, he is selling you a dream, नया पाकिस्तान। वो आपको एक ड्रीम बेच रहा है, फिर वो आपको मोबिलाइज करेगा। ह्यूमन रिसोर्स को मोबिलाइज करता है और उसको मोबिलाइज करना आता है। ये नहीं कि आप ऐसे इंसान हो जो अपने दोस्त को कन्विंस नहीं कर पाता। यू हैव टू बी कन्विंसिंग, आपकी बातें में, आर्ग्यूमेंट्स में हैव टू बी कन्विंसिंग। यू हैव टू बी एबल टू लीड द रिसोर्स, टू मोबिलाइज द रिसोर्स फॉर अ स्पेसिफिक कॉज। कि बाहर पे कुछ करना है, कोई दंगे हो रहे हैं, आपको बोला गया कि ये 2 कम्युनिटीज़ के बीच में दंगे हो रहे हैं, बताइए क्या करें। यू हैव टू बी कन्विंसिंग, आर्ग्यूमेंट्स कन्विंसिंग होने चाहिए। आप में अगर वो नहीं है तो वो धीरे धीरे डेवलप हो जाता है। लीडर्स आर नॉट बॉर्न, दे आर मेड। वो बनते हैं अपने एक्सपीरियंस से, फेलियर्स से, बहुत सीख कर दे हैव दैट कैपेसिटी कि वो कैसे ह्यूमन रिसोर्स को लीड करेंगे। यू हैव दैट दिस गाय, जैसे कहा जाता है कि आमतौर पर अच्छे पॉलिटिशियंस वही बनते हैं जो अच्छे टीचर्स होते हैं। तो जैसे आपका वी हैड दैट गाय शेख अब्दुल्ला साहब, ही वाज अ टीचर, ही न्यू हाउ टू मोबिलाइज पीपल। उसको पता था कब बात करनी है, कौन सी बात करनी है, कैसे बात करनी है। उसको पता है कि मैं मुस्लिम्स के साथ बात करूंगा तो बोलेगा नमाज छिन परा, तहज्जुद छिन परा। फिर कहीं और बात करनी है, वहाँ पर भजन वजन गाना है। ये क्वालिटी है भाई, ये सबको नहीं आता है। आप करके दिखाओ, यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू इट। ही इज़ अ गाय, उसको पता है मुझे कौन सी बात किसके साथ करनी है। मोबिलाइज ह्यूमन रिसोर्स, कन्विंसिंग आर्ग्यूमेंट्स, जो वो जानना चाहता है। सोशल कोहिजन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। अबिलिटी ऑफ सोशल कोहिजन, इंसान ऐसा होना चाहिए जो लीड जब करे, क्योंकि आपको केएस बन के डिसीजन मेकिंग अथॉरिटी तो मिलेगा, आपके डिसीजन से 10 लोगों को फ़र्क पड़ेगा। अब आपका डिसीजन जो होना चाहिए उसमें सोसाइटल एक्सपेक्टेशंस काउंट करनी है आपको। ऐसा नहीं कि प्योर इकोनॉमिक बेसिस पर डिसीजन ले लिया, प्योर पॉलिटिक्स के बेसिस पर डिसीजन ले लिया। सोसाइटल एक्सपेक्टेशंस ध्यान में रखनी है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, करानगर के बीचों बीच चौराहे के ऊपर मुसलमानों ने अचानक से एक मस्जिद बना ली, गवर्नमेंट के ज़मीन पर बना ली मस्जिद, जल्दी जल्दी काम करके नमाजें भी शुरू कर दी उधर। अब करानगर पॉपुलेशन काफ़ी ज़्यादा, लोग 5 वक्त नमाज पढ़ रहे उधर। अब आपको पता है इलीगल ज़मीन है, यू हैव टू मेक अ चॉइस कि क्या कर रहे हैं। अगर इसको बुलडोज़र लगाया तो आपके घर बुलडोज़र पहुंच जाएगा, और अगर नहीं किया तो गलत हो रहा है, कल को दूसरी मस्जिद इसी चौराहे पे बन जाएगी। नाउ व्हाट यू शुड डू? यू कैन नॉट मेक अ जजमेंट कि नहीं भाई इलीगल है तो उड़ा दो इसको पूरा, इस बेसिस पर कि लीगैलिटी के बेसिस पर आपने मस्जिद उड़ा दी. यू आर नॉट काउंट एडजस्टिंग फॉर सोसाइटल एक्सपेक्टेशंस. सोसाइटी क्या एक्सपेक्ट आपसे कर रही है, आप उसको एडजस्ट नहीं कर रहे. आपको इसमें डिप्लोमेटिकली हैंडल करना है, इनके लीडर्स को लाना है, मिलकर समझौता कराना है, आपके लिए एक दूसरी ज़मीन दे देंगे या कैसे भी हम कर सकते हैं, लेकिन यू हैव टू एडजस्ट नॉट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ ओनली लीगैलिटी ऑफ द इशू बट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ सोसाइटल एक्सपेक्टेशंस. डिसीजन मेकिंग में सोसाइटल एक्सपेक्टेशन आनी चाहिए, कंजर्वेटिव नेचर ऑफ द सोसाइटी दिखना चाहिए आपको. यू हैव टू बी, क्या कहते हैं, एम्पैथेटिक टू अदर्स, कि भाई ये अगर कुछ बोल रहा है तो इसके दिमाग में क्या आ रहा है, ये क्यों ऐसा बोल रहा है. मैं सिर्फ अपने बेसिस पर इसको जज नहीं करूंगा, इसकी सोच से सोचने की कोशिश करूंगा. दैट वुड मेक यू अंडरस्टैंड, इट विल गिव यू द डेप्थ. इसमें है अब लास्ट, दैट इज इंटेलेक्चुअल एंड मॉरल इंटेग्रिटी. असी इंटेलेक्चुअल इंटेग्रिटी क्या होती है? इट इज प्रैक्टिसिंग what one advocates. Practicing what one advocates. Being true to one's own thinking. Being true to one's own thinking. Being true to one's own thinking. Intellectual integrity दिखाएगा आपका. आप एडवोकेट कर रहे हो दैट यू हैव टू बी एन अर्ली राइजर, बट यू नो प्रैक्टिस दैट योरसेल्फ. जो भी आप एडवोकेट करोगे, पहला काम, जैसे आपने वो सुना होगा ना, एक सूफी के पास एक बंदा है, उसकी माँ और अपने बेटे को लेकर आ गई. वो उसने बोला कि मेरा बेटा बहुत शक्कर खाता है. उसने बोला कल लेकर आना इसको. बोला कल लेकर आया. बोला कि मेरा बेटा बहुत शक्कर खाता है. बोला कल लेकर आना. और वो तीसरे दिन गई, मेरा बेटा बहुत शक्कर खाता है. तो बोला बेटा शक्कर नहीं खाना, जाओ. तो बोला ये तो आप पहले भी बता सकते थे. और पहले बता सकता था, लेकिन उन 2 दिन मैंने खुद शक्कर खाया था. दैट वाज द प्रॉब्लम. समझ रहे हैं आप? तो प्रैक्टिस व्हाट वन एडवोकेट्स, ये आपकी इंटेग्रिटी दिखाता है, पर्सनैलिटी में इंटेग्रिटी. बीइंग ट्रू टू वन्स ओन थिंकिंग. लाइक मोस्ट ऑफ अस हियर वी फॉलो अ स्पेसिफिक रिलीजन, उसके कुछ हमारे की प्रिंसिपल्स हैं. अब वो की प्रिंसिपल्स हैं आपके, जो आपको लगता है कि दीज आर एसेंशियल प्रैक्टिसेस ऑफ माय रिलीजन. भाई मैं कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ नहीं कर सकता इसमें, ये मेरा की प्रिंसिपल है. आपको बोला गया जैसे जो भी हमारा की प्रिंसिपल है. अब आपको क्वेश्चनर ऐसा टेस्ट करेगा कि आप अपने की प्रिंसिपल्स पे कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ करो. तो वहाँ क्या पता चलेगा, अगर आपने कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ किया तो पता चलेगा भाई ये इंसान 20 साल से जिस चीज़ को फॉलो कर रहा है ये उसका नहीं है, ये मेरा क्या होगा. समझ रहे हैं आप? तो डोंट कॉम्प्रोमाइज ऑन की एसेंशियल प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ योर ओन थिंकिंग. अगर आपको लग रहा है कि भाई मैं इस चीज़ को डिफेंड कर सकता हूँ, मैं हिजाब को डिफेंड कर सकता हूँ, तो करना चाहिए. अगर मैं इस्लाम में डिवोर्स को डिफेंड कर सकता हूँ तो मुझे करना चाहिए. और आई बिलीव अगर आपको अच्छी नॉलेज है इन चीज़ों की, आपको पता चलेगा दीज आर नॉट दैट बिग ऑफ एन इशू. आप एक अच्छा जवाब इसका निकाल सकते हो, यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड का, हिजाब की बैन का, आपका ट्रिपल तलाक का, आप बहुत अच्छा जवाब निकाल सकते हो. यू जस्ट हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड इस्लामिक जूरिस्प्रूडेंस. इस्लाम में खुद इसमें इख्तलाफ है इन चीज़ों में. तो इख्तलाफ दीन का हुस्न होता है. हुस्न यानी इख्तलाफ में मज़ा है, इख्तलाफ का फ़ायदा उठाना चाहिए. ठीक है, जहाँ पर इख्तलाफ है यू जस्ट हैव टू प्ले विद दैट. तो बी वेरी ट्रू टू वन्स ओन बिलीफ सिस्टम एज वेल. वो आपकी इंटेग्रिटी दिखाएगा. हाँ, इन चीज़ों को ये नहीं करना जो बिल्कुल आपको लगता है कि दिस इज़ नॉट गुड दैट इज़ हैपनिंग, उसको डिफेंड करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. देर आर सम प्रैक्टिसेस दैट आर हैपनिंग इन आवर ओन कस्टम्स, इन आवर ओन ट्रेडिशंस, जो बिल्कुल सही नहीं है, जो एक्सप्लॉयटेटिव है नेचर में. तो यू हैव टू कम अप विद दैट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, टेल मी, पॉलीगमी, एक से ज़्यादा शादी करना इस्लाम में अलाउड है? बिल्कुल अलाउड है. क्या ये एक्सप्लॉयटेटिव है नेचर में? है या नहीं? नहीं है. डू यू हैव अ सिस्टर? हाँ? वुड यू मैरी हर टू अ पर्सन हु ऑलरेडी हैज 3 वाइफ्स? Why not?
Exploited to that extent. You will not be able to.
So is it exploitative?
Yes, sir. She would adjust.
है या नहीं? बिल्कुल है. सवाल ये है कि इंसानों को आ नहीं रहा इसको हैंडल करना. ये चीज़ इसलिए नहीं बनाई गई थी कि इंसान में, मर्दों में कैपेसिटी है कि उनको एक से ज़्यादा लड़कियां चाहिए. इट्स नॉट फॉर दैट. प्राइमरीली इट वाज फॉर कि आपका सेक्स रेशियो बिगड़ा हुआ है. पूरी दुनिया में अपार्ट फ्रॉम सब कॉन्टिनेंट लड़कियां ज़्यादा है. देयर आर 33,000 वुमेन इन श्रीनगर विदाउट अ पार्टनर. वो कहाँ जाएंगी? They have this 30s के बाद you only have one need. I'm telling you guys, like जो लड़कियां इधर, my sisters, 30s के बाद you only have one objective in your life. You need children. ये होता है 30 में जैसे आप चले जाते हो आपको दिमाग में आ जाता है मुझे बच्चा चाहिए. अब वो कहाँ जाएगी लड़की जिसको मिल ही नहीं रहा पार्टनर? आपने वेस्टर्न सोसाइटीज में देखा जहां पर इतनी ज्यादा लड़कियां हैं, देयर आर मिलियंस ऑफ वुमेन मोर देन मेन. वेयर वुड दे गो? यू डोंट हैव अ सिस्टम फॉर देम. आप कह सकते हैं सर फाइनेंशियल सिक्योरिटी के लिए हम कोई स्कीम लेकर आएंगे. लेकर आ सकते हो. फिजिकल सिक्योरिटी कहां से लाओगे? ऑल हैव फिजिकल नीड्स. उसकी भरपाई कैसे होगी अनलेस यू डोंट गो फॉर प्रोस्टिट्यूशन? देयर इज नो अदर वे फॉर यू. तो दिस इज अ सोल्यूशन टू अ सर्टेन सिचुएशन. आप खुद बताओ आपकी फैमिली में कौन है जिसने 4 शादियां की अभी तक? है कोई? वी डोंट प्रैक्टिस इट. मगर ये ऐसी क्रिटिकल सिचुएशन में एज एन ऑप्शन इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है. ओनली इफ यू आर एबल टू डू जस्टिस बिटवीन द पार्टनर्स. Islam is the only faith, is the only religious book on the face of this planet which tells you to marry only one. It's the only book. If you cannot do justice, then you marry only one. कोई किताब नहीं है जो आपको marry only one का provision लेकर आती है. It's categorically mentioned. तो if you know this, you can defend it. हर कोई चीज़ को नेगेटिवली नहीं लेना है. अब में उसमें अब ये भी तो आप बता सकते हैं इसमें सर गलत इस्तेमाल हो रहा है, इसका गलत इस्तेमाल हो रहा है. आपने शादी की, देन आप उकता गए उसके साथ, कर ली दूसरी शादी, उसको वहीं के वहीं छोड़ दिया. ना उसकी फाइनेंशियल नीड्स का आप कर रहे हो, ना उसकी फिजिकल नीड्स, ना उसके बच्चों का ख्याल रख रहे हो. ये है एक्सप्लॉयटेशन जो हो रही है. इसमें क्या बुराई है बोलने में? यू हैव टू से दैट. ये आपकी इंटेग्रिटी दिखाएगा, इंटेलेक्चुअल. दूसरा है मॉरल इंटेग्रिटी. मॉरल इंटेग्रिटी में प्राइमरीली इट इज ऑनेस्टी. प्राइमरीली इट इज ऑनेस्टी. ऑनेस्टी. जिन क्राइटेरियाज का इस्तेमाल करके आप दूसरों को जज करते हो, क्या उन्हीं क्राइटेरियाज के बेसिस पर आप अपने आप को भी जज करते हो या नहीं? अभी आपने कहा सर व्हाई शुड वी सिलेक्ट यू. इसका जवाब क्या है? सर ने बहुत अच्छा जवाब दिया. सर ने कहा कि आपको बताना चाहिए कि सर जो इसमें क्राइटेरियाज है सिविल सर्विस बनने के, सिविल सर्वेंट बनने के, मैं वो सारे क्राइटेरियाज फुलफिल करता हूँ. मेरे में इंटेलेक्चुअल एबिलिटी है, लीडरशिप क्वालिटी है, सोशल कोहीजन है, डेप्थ ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है, वो फलाना फलाना, मेंटल अलर्टनेस है. आपको सब कुछ बताना है. मगर इसकी क्या गारंटी है कि 700 कैंडिडेट्स जो हमने लिए उनमें वो चीज़ें नहीं हो? तो सब में हो सकती है. आप बताएंगे सर मैं बहुत हार्ड वर्किंग हूँ. तो हार्ड वर्किंग हो तो इधर पहुँचे हो, हार्ड वर्किंग नहीं होते तो इधर नहीं पहुँचते आप. तो 700 के 700 हार्ड वर्किंग है. सर आप मुझ में और क्या बता सकते हैं? आप मुझ में पेशेंस है, परसिवरेंस है, डेडिकेशन है, आप सब कुछ बता सकते हैं. ये सब में होता ही है. अब पॉइंट सिर्फ ये, व्हाट विल डिफरेंशिएट यू? What will differentiate you is moral integrity. सर ऐसा सिस्टम है कि मैं तो फुलफिल करता हूँ सारे क्राइटेरियाज, मगर मैं चाहता हूँ कि ये जो रिक्रूटमेंट का प्रोसेस है ये फेयर होना चाहिए सबके लिए. एंड मे द बेस्ट पर्सन बी सिलेक्टेड फॉर द जॉब. आई हैव नो प्रॉब्लम विद दैट. दैट शोज योर मॉरल इंटेग्रिटी, योर ऑनेस्ट. तो जो आप दूसरे के लिए सोचते हो वो अपने लिए भी सोचते हो. अगर मैं निकल गया इसका मतलब शायद मुझ में कोई कमी है, मैं अगले साल वापस आऊँगा भरपाई करके. तो यू हैव टू बी अ वेरी गुड ह्यूमन बीइंग टू बी अ सिविल सर्वेंट. देखिए मैं बार बार कहता हूँ, जब तक अच्छे इंसान नहीं बनोगे तब तक ना आपको माँ बाप की दुआ मिले न मिले, टीचर की तो दुआ तो नहीं मिलेगी आपको. यू हैव टू बी वेरी गुड ह्यूमन बीइंग्स टू बिकम सिविल सर्वेंट्स, बिकॉज यू विल चेंज, यू विल इम्पैक्ट अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल टुमारो. और जब तक आप अच्छे इंसान नहीं हो तब तक हम नहीं चाहेंगे कि आप सिविल सर्वेंट बनो, ना ही पैनल चाहेगा. जिसमें हल्का सा भी एरोगेंस दिखेगा उधर ही दफा करेंगे उसको. बी वेरी हम्बल, ह्यूमिलिटी होना चाहिए, सीखने वाला एटीट्यूड होना चाहिए. डनिंग क्रूगर इफेक्ट कि सर मैंने जितना पढ़ा मुझे एहसास होता है इस बात का कि मुझे कितना कम पता है. दैट इज़ द एटीट्यूड दैट वी वांट. और दिस इज़ अ ब्रीफ सिलेबस का डिस्कशन. इसमें और काम हो सकता है बट इंशाल्लाह कभी और करेंगे. थैंक यू.